Hi, this is Sapni Bharti and we are here at GitLab Contribute, and today we have with us Priyanka Sharma. You are Director of Technical Evangelism at GitLab. First of all, what does this role actually entails? What does it mean?
So technical evangelism at GitLab is like developer advocacy or developer evangelism in many other companies. Our focus is to build the technology brand for the company by creating thought leadership on various topics of interest to the community right now. The key difference between evangelism versus, let's say, marketing is that evangelism is an individual opinion and a point of view as opposed to some kind of manufactured message.
So that means that you yourself are passionate about what GitLab is doing.
Yes, absolutely. And not just what GitLab is doing, but what GitLab is doing in the context of the cloud native community.
Right. And what is it that makes you so passionate about GitLab?
Well, a number of reasons. So I have known the founder since, I guess, 4 years or something, when GitLab was just 9 people. And today we have 600 something already. And I met him when I was doing my own startup. And Sid coached us on how to prepare for Y Combinator interviews. And I remember thinking then, this person is going to take this company far. And I was like, maybe I should stop working on my own startup and join his. But I thought it would look a little weird. In hindsight, should have totally done that. But anyway, I've stayed in touch over the years. I did a consulting project for them 2-3 years ago. And then finally last year I joined. So I've had the benefit of following the leadership and seeing them evolve. And that's been a really positive experience for me, because GitLab is a company that's been figuring out things more and more progressively as time has gone. And that's always a good sign. The other thing is, as a culture, I took this job in spite of it being a remote company, not because of it. And I was fairly nervous because I'm one of those people, office rats. I used to spend all my time in the office. But I took the opportunity because it felt very exciting. Fast forward to a year later, and I have completely changed my mind about all remote. I love it. I am so much more efficient. And I have actually deeper relationships with the people in the company because I actually see them all the time at events, conferences, for things like Contribute. And when we do see each other, it's very about getting to know the other person and spending time with them. So I really like that. And then on the work front, GitLab is a very fast-moving company, and we care about results. That's the type of person I am. Let's move fast, let's get results, let's keep going. So the fit is there. And then finally, the most important point is the technology, right? So I've been in cloud native since the early days. I was part of the Open Tracing project, which was the third project to join CNCF. And what I saw happen in the community over time is, well, Kubernetes comes along, goes crazy, very good. And everybody wants to adopt it. Microservice adoption is parallel to Kubernetes adoption. And what people are finding out that, yes, they did this so they can ship faster and be responsive to customer needs. But guess what? Operationalizing services is completely different from operationalizing a monolith. So we, as a very excited community, overfixed that problem. And if you look at the CNCF landscape, there's so many logos, projects, companies, all kinds of organizations. So there's been this huge cognitive overload of what is really going on, what is the best practice. GitLab, since 2 years or some and change at this point, has been talking about the mantra of a single application. When I first heard about it, I actually didn't really click with it. I was like, oh, I don't believe this. I work on distributed tracing. It's a very specific pinpointed technology. And for hard problems, you need the sharpest tools. That is correct. However, when I go from my individual experience as a technologist to a company's experience in technology, you can't have 50 Priyankas using 50 different tool chains. And that's an empathy I developed after joining GitLab. I see now how the larger the organization, the more unification of a tool chain is important, because if every team is using different tools, they're not connected on what the progress of the work is. So you're waiting on handoffs. It's like kind of inefficient. And there is also lack of transparency because you don't know what's going on. So you're just like sitting there twiddling your thumbs, not sure. And then finally, when different tools are used, you can't have a good governance model, which helps your organization to be quick and efficient without worrying that, oh, am I doing something wrong? So these are things I didn't recognize before joining GitLab. And to be fair, I think over time, GitLab's message it's been prescient of what has come now. So now everyone agrees, right? Now we have Azure DevOps, now we have all these different GitHub Actions came out. But back then it wasn't the case. And I think GitLab has led that charge. So I'm super excited to be working on a product like this.
So what is interesting about your journey with GitLab is that you already knew about the company before you joined it for a long time. That's why you joined it, because you saw your match. And then you learn a lot about the company after joining it. So you kind of evolved as the company evolved itself. When we look at GitLab, I see there are a couple of things. First of all, of course, you're building an open source based solution out there, which is based on Git. Then you have a different work culture altogether. When I was at the keynote, and he was talking about not going to office also means cutting on emissions. We are talking about the climate change actually here, and people don't think about it. The impact that we have, and millions of people go to office every morning. And then, of course, you're also building a culture where everybody can contribute. It's a very welcoming community. I was also at the panel yesterday where people were sharing their stories, that how and why they stick around with GitLab because of the feedback. So out of all these three things, which is the one that you think is most valuable to a company like GitLab or companies that we are creating today?
Okay, well, that is a hard question because all three are really important. I will be super transparent with you. I think the climate change impact is a really important one and something that can, on a macro level, that can change how our planet progresses, right? And so I think that's one of those things which, if it takes off, which I think it will, we're going to just have a healthier planet and environment. So that's really good. But that's something that's macro. That's something that I don't think about on a daily level, right? Daily basis, right? For better or for worse. But when you think about having more time for family, I think that's huge in terms of the impact it makes in each individual's life in the moment they're in it. Do you see the difference? Like climate change, it's for our grandchildren. I think that impact will be visible. This time thing, it's very present, it's very right now. I just adopted a dog, for instance, and I'm single parenting a rescue dog, and it's very interesting and challenging at times. If I had to go to a regular office to work, it was not possible. And this dog has brought so much joy to my life. It's only been a month and I can't even imagine life without him. And GitLab has made it possible. There were a couple of days here and there in the beginning where I was like, can I even do this? I have to take this dog out 4 times. He has all the energy in the world. Not only does he want me to take him out, we need to run together in the park. And to be able to do that at 2 p.m. or 10 a.m. is invaluable to helping this living being flourish in my life. So that's one aspect. I think that impact is something that every person in a company will feel, right? Then the third point you said, right, which is everyone can contribute, an all remote workforce that enables that. I think that one is something that changes how you work. And so your experience of work changes. In my opinion, and this may be controversial, all remote actually fosters a feeling of closeness and a small village, no matter how big you're growing. So I'll give you an example. I started at the company when it was around 300 something people, and now it's doubled, right? And people ask me, how does it feel? How do you handle the explosive growth? Does it suddenly feel, impersonal? And I can honestly say that no, that's not the case. Here's why. We use issues to work on asynchronously. And so I'm still doing that. People are chiming in. I tag the people I think are relevant, and they are bringing in new teammates who I may not know about but need to respond to something. And so people are naturally getting pulled into conversations without what often happens in other companies where you have a physical location where it's like the old crew, the OG crew, and then like the rest, and then there's these layers of information sharing. That's not the case. I also feel that because we are an asynchronous all-remote company, whenever somebody reaches out, it's in everyone's best interest to respond as soon as possible. And that just makes it feel very, oh, I can reach out to anyone. This name I don't know, but I need X, so I'm going to write to them. I know through the handbook that their team handles this. And then I get a response, and we're communicating as if we've known each other for a while. So it's been a very interesting experience where this company has doubled since I joined, but I don't feel that in a negative way. And I really am happy about it.
So we are here at the Contribute event, and I think there are more than 600 people, something like that. When I was at the keynote, the room was full, and I was like, wow, that's great. So what has been your experience so far? First of all, I have seen you. You're a social butterfly. You meet with everybody. I don't know how you keep up with that. But what has been your experience? Any anecdote, any interesting meeting you had, and you're like, wow, we are working with all these amazing people?
So I would like to tell you about two experiences. First was when I was on the bus going to the Bayou Barn where we had dinner last night. I happened to sit next to Taylor Murphy, who is a PhD in working in the data team. And he's been leading it for a while, actually. And Taylor's awesome. I've seen him all over issues and like on Slack conversations. I never met him, and this was the first time. And we had just an amazing discussion that ranged from everything about my dog, his children, how to be a caregiver, to how do we do data analytics, how do we do data science. And it ended with him giving me advice on how we can build out metrics dashboards for technical evangelism team. And it was all proactive. He was sharing how he thought we could do it really well. And it's that, it's that amazing mesh of like, you talk about your personal interests, your family, and then you're helping each other with their work unsolicited, that I really love about GitLab. I think at Contribute, the vibe, unlike other, work conferences, is like an unconference, kind of the FOSDEM type of vibe, which I am such a big fan of. So that was one experience. The other I would like to say is at the Bayou Barn, I was just walking around, and I saw this adorable baby who was just dancing like she was in, I don't know what those things are. The baby holder.
Carriers.
Yeah, that people like wear.
I have a baby, two babies, so I know what it's called.
Carrier? Okay. So it was this child. She was in a baby carrier with her dad, and she was just happy dancing, and we talked for 5 minutes. It was so cute. And I loved that a parent felt enabled to bring his child to the Contribute dinner. It's comfortable. We can all be together as a family, with our families, and participate. And I think that's a great culture we're setting up.
So if I'm not wrong, this is the first Contribute. It used to be a summit. First of all, why you changed the name of the event, and what does it really mean? What is it all about?
Sure. So yes, this is the first GitLab Contribute, and before it used to be GitLab Summit. Just in terms of number of events where we've gotten together, this is number 7. And this is my second one. I was at Cape Town last year, so I feel cool because less than half the company today was at Cape Town last year, so I'm feeling like someone like a veteran. So we changed the name from Summit to Contribute just because our mission is everyone can contribute. And this event where we all get together is a big part of it. And so we wanted to pay homage to our mission and to highlight that no invite necessary, everyone can come in, let's get going and build something awesome. And that's why we are GitLab Contribute today.
What value do you see by bringing these people here when they should actually be working and building a company?
I think it's hugely valuable. And I can tell you confidently that there is positive business impact of spending time together in a location in this unconference mode because you build real relationships. I'll give you an example. Last year, when I was at my first event, the Cape Town one, I went on the Table Mountain hike because as one of our excursions. We do excursions, which are like today I'm going to go on a plantation tour. Super cool, really excited. And so last year I went on the Table Mountain hike. Now, I had just gotten off a 30-hour plane ride to get to Cape Town from San Francisco. So I would say I wasn't in the best shape. And as we were going, halfway through, I'm like, I can't do this. This is really hard. And there was a teammate of mine, Philippe, who was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let me help you. Do you want water? And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yes. And he helped me get up to the top. And I'm so happy I made it. Now, fast forward to a year later, almost a year later, Philippe and I, we have a great working relationship. He is one of our thought leaders in the security space. And I learned all that about him on that hike where I was struggle busting through. And he told me how he sold Gymnasium to GitLab, all the cool details. And that built a bond where today I can call Philippe anytime and be like, hey, can we please, write this blog post together? Can we please do this interview together? And we always help each other. It's not that he wouldn't help me if he hadn't met me. It's more, I wouldn't know what to ask him as much. So that's one example of like hiking up a mountain was really productive for us. Contribute has such amazing elements. I recommend every company to go all remote and have their own Contribute. I think that we have some very cool traditions which we are keeping up, such as the CEO challenge. Have you heard about that? So the CEO challenge is the best. Every year, Sid gives us a product challenge that, hey, these are some low-hanging fruit that we can fix in the product. And if people do that by the closing dinner, Sid promises a reward, such as last year, it was him and his wife, Karen, would teach us a dance exercise. This year, it's him and Karen will waltz in wigs if we meet the challenge. So I love those kinds of activities because we do cool things. It's like a hackathon, but like more chilled out. And also like we brew and like our CEO dances. So we have things like that. We have, I think there's so many things we do. I could just go on forever. Maybe I should stop. But yes, I would just like to say that I think GitLab Contribute is the best, and companies should incorporate unconference like events like this in their life as well.
Yeah, because I think it's very non-corporate-ish culture, and this is what I love. This is why I don't work in a corporate environment, because I don't like that very sterile, really bleak environment where everybody is treated like a machine or robot. So that's just cool. And I'm happy to be here because by being here, I also learned a lot about the culture of GitLab and how people fist bump. And that is also, you actually solve a problem that was, people were getting sick by shaking hands. So it's like, you're changing a lot of things and everything is coming out of some necessity. So that's great to hear. And once again, Priyanka, thanks for talking. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for having me.